Alright, well, we're kind of caught up here a little bit. Got some of this painted. I'm pretty happy with the way this ceramic whatever paint turned out. I couldn't really be happier with it for spray paint. And then, of course, my famous clear coat, because you gots to. But everything looks really, really good. I'm really happy with all this fresh, shiny stuff. And then I found the cleanest towel left in my shop here. But man, I think it just looks great. So I'm going to throw some thread tape on this guy here and put him back in there and start reassembling some of these things and getting them ready to go on the motor. I got to clean the keg up still. Got new gaskets for it and everything, but it is in dire need of some cleanup before I reassemble, and I don't want to even dare put it back on there without cleaning up first, because it just really needs it. Covered in grime. So I'll bring you guys back when I get a little further along. Alright, time to do the pilot bearing. So I got the tool in there already, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that out of there. Paint trim and plastic right there. Got all the little lower poppers and plastic shims and stereo key and device. So it just gives you see the bearing coming out? Yeah. Yes. Right up here. It's just an Amazon puller. Had to modify it a little bit because it wouldn't fit down there, even though it says it's 4.5 inch. And am I out of? There we go. And she's out. Thank you, sir. Well, we made some progress on the block. Got front cover back on, front pulley, all reassembled, torqued down, water pump on, painted. And this is kind of what I was envisioning here. I got this back cover plate, getting prepped for paint. Got new fan switch. Everything turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty decent. Didn't paint this side underneath where everything mounts to, no real point. Yeah, I think that's pretty sharp. New gaskets, O-rings. I still haven't gotten this one in the mail. This one's just sitting here. It's not even tightened down yet. I know they sell some aluminum ones of these. I'm just going to go to the aluminum one. I don't really like the way that looks anyways, but it's kind of chipped and falling apart. It doesn't leak, but the old one that I had, that whatever this Bakelite stuff is, it was leaking, so I threw that one on there, and this one doesn't even have the overflow hose on it, so I want to go to probably a non-overflow, but aluminum. They make some pretty fancy looking ones. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks pretty sharp. Not too bad for some rattle can. Now we'll see how long it lasts. I think the clear coat will keep it lasting a decent time of it. Now I'm wondering, do I have to paint the transmission now? Because it would look pretty good. How deep does the rabbit hole go? But anyways, I'll bring you guys back later. And it's another day, back at it again. Today is a Thursday. I happen to receive my new baffle plate. So when you order these, I guess they recommend 2 gaskets and a new set of bolts. So if you can even see that, I don't know. Anyways, there's 2 gaskets in there. I guess the theory is that under high load, the oil can come back a little bit air bubbly, and this will remove some of that before it drops down to the pickup. So getting about ready to put the oil pan on, so I figured it was time to bust this bad boy out. I got my package of extended bolts, so we'll be able to put those on there as well. And then I painted the crank angle, battery tensioner, and the flywheel guard, so those are all painted up. Now I need to get everything over here and on. I don't know how I feel about this whole black stem thing. I keep looking at it and it kind of bothers me, but I suppose from the top, maybe not that big of a deal. I don't know. It's just something about it that doesn't seem to jive. But I'm not going to mess with it for now. For now, it's okay. I think the bigger priority is going to be getting the oil pan on, get my accessories started here, because I have some stuff to put on. So let's get to it. So I've already done the other 3, but I'm putting the hardware back in for the water pump, and I've got a little blue Loctite on there. Don't really want this to slip out of there, so then I just take this little towel and my pliers, and one-handed, this is a little bit different story. Tighten that down. There. It should be good enough. Won't be coming off too easily. So I'm going to put my serpentine belt style grooved pulley belt deal, whatever this is called, on there. Unfortunately that happened, but I think it'll need a little bit of persuasion, but I'll try to see how far I can get this. There we go. So I can just run these nuts on, and that will tighten it up for me. Problem is, these have these Nordlock style locking nut deals on there, and I'm pretty sure it's going to tear that up, but not much I can do without a washer, so maybe I'll grab a washer and then tighten them down. Alright, I tried a couple times to film, couldn't hold the camera still, so I just went ahead and mocked it up. Some washers here. Pretty cool. And it's impossible to do this task as well. I have an idea. There we go. About as far as it needs to go. hoping to start working on some of the heat shielding for the transmission this weekend. Get that in the car, and I feel like I'm going to end up painting the transmission anyways, so I might as well just do it. So I keep thinking about it. We'll see what happens. It's so much work, but it's really a lot easier to do when it's out of the car, right? At least the bell housing. But if I do the bell housing, I might as well do the whole thing. We'll see what happens. But anyways, the heat shielding and the wiring harness for the engine itself, because I need to strip those emissions controls back to a different location to perform new tasks. So, alright, on to the next part. Looking pretty spectacular. Brand new gasket. Brand new fan switch. And I'll replace this eventually. For now, it's going to stay. It's right up top, so it's not too big of a deal, right? I'm probably going to end up swapping out these grade 8 gold washers. I thought they looked pretty cool, but since there's only 2 of them and you can't see the bottom one, it just kind of looks weird on the top. So I'm going to go back and pull that back out of there and put some stainless lock washer. And then the one that holds this, the alternator tension bracket, is of the original zinc plated whatever. So unfortunately that one's going to be like it is for a little while. I have to order that bolt. It's a little bit longer than the rest of them, and I didn't have one. So alrighty, I think I have everything I need to do this in approximately one take. So let's give this a shot here. Basically, I have my timing pulley and the little guard thing that goes in front. So I'm going to, because this is an aftermarket pulley, obviously. I had these marked at one point, but the paint has since come off, and it's really not important, but I'm going to do it anyways, just because why not? But a little yellow paint right there. Hey look, some even went into the deal. A little red paint on the other side. And once that dries, I'll wipe it off the top, but for now that'll give me my timing marks. Then the fun part, lining this son of a gun up. So, nope, 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 yep, nope, oh, right. I don't know if this is marked somehow and I just don't know about it, but this is how I've always had to do it for some reason. And you get to play the same game when you go to put it on. I feel like I'm losing my marbles here a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's it. So, putting this on here, Now you gotta find all 4 holes to line up with. So that part's pretty fun. Like that. That wasn't too painful. And I'm not going to put any Loctite on these for now. I'm going to have to get the air conditioner pulley cleaned up, painted, before I can do anything with these. So these are just going to be on here for kind of setting the timing and stuff. Just holding the place for now. No real other purpose, and just to kind of see how it's going to look. I'll probably want to pull this plate back off and throw a blast of paint on it anyways before it's permanent, but this way at least I can get the crank angle sensor in there and not have to mess with it again until I do the actual timing of the car. Okay, so now that I have that, I will roll the engine over till we're on yellow, which is the first notch if you don't have the colors. Then we have crank angle sensor. It has a little knobby here, and it's got a dimple, and it's got a roll pin, so just go to the dimple. And I mean, you're going to feel kind of some positions right around it, but you should put it right on the thing. And then you have your locking plate, so just line that up with the hole right there when you install it, and just make sure it doesn't turn on you. And there we go. That should be pretty close. It should start, and then we can do our time. It should make some noise anyways, and not really risk too much damage. A tooth off isn't going to kill anything at idle. So, yeah, I will get a washer and a nut for that, or a bolt, and we'll put that on there and keep going. Alright, I just wanted to show you guys the new oil plug. The problem I'm having with this is it's a Votex, made in USA, which is great, but they're not made to spec. So the thread pitch is right, the drive is right, the diameter is right, but the length is too long. I don't have my tape on me, but this is causing some issues. So, because it's so much taller, the stock stamp in the oil pan with the stock nut, it just goes right in there and just about makes it to the end, right where it stops, right? So your clearance, right? It's right there. Whereas this one, because it's so tall, and I've already been dremeling on this hole here, that's why it looks kind of chewed up, because it slipped off a couple times. But the magnet on this thing makes it really kind of a gnarly adventure to get it to start too. There we go. So because of the hole that they stamped through this from the factory, it sort of binds, and so I've already drilled it out with the Dremel a little bit, but I still can't get it to go in. That's as far as it goes in without me reefing on it, and there's still, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch of thread. So I have to make this hole bigger, which is kind of annoying. And if you're going to put this into And then it introduces shavings that can potentially get into stuff if you don't clean it 100%, so that's always fun. Luckily there's a magnet there, but I'd rather it grab stuff that isn't from me. So anyways, I'm going to continue hogging this out until it fits, but seems very high quality. I love it. It's going to be great, especially having a magnet in there. I don't know why there wasn't one stock, but yeah, it's too long, so you may have to do this. Alright, so I've been hogging that hole out a little bit, and this kind of fits now. It's a pain in the butt to get this on here with that strong of a magnet though. But she goes all the way where she's supposed to. And it threads on all the way now. So that'll be nice to have a magnet in there. For the oil level sensor, I haven't cleaned it up yet, so I'm not going to put that on quite yet. But I did pick up this. This is the AAM sensor with a little AN converter, so the M16 1.25 to AN fitting. So I think it's an 8-8 AN. So that's pretty cool, so I can put whatever in there. This isn't going to be the best fit, but it's not like I'm too worried about it at this point. I'm probably going to end up relocating this to the oil filter tower. I feel like that sandwich plate's kind of a better way to go, better spot for measuring. I just thought this was kind of fun, and I'd try it out. And you know what? Maybe we'll leave them both and we'll cross-reference them and see if they if there's any discrepancy. That might be a better way to do it. So, anyways, this will go right there. I think. So, it'll plug the hole. May not be that useful, I do not know, but it'll do that part, so kind of cool. But yeah, the holes are now filled, so we can go ahead and reinstall this with the brand new baffle plate. So we got the surfaces cleaned with some carb clean alcohol. And I'm going to put some RTV down because this gasket is a sandwich 3-layer. I'm going to use a little bit of RTV on all 4 sides. So 5 sides? How many is that? 5 sides? But yeah, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start stacking this thing, and maybe we'll do like a little time lapse. What's going on there, channel? So today is a new day, and I think it's a pretty exciting one. Pretty sure today is the day we're going to mock up the turbo, the manifolds, some of the connections for our cooling and oil on the turbo, and start getting this thing ready to go back in the car. Seems like a long time coming, but pretty excited about it. So still have to go through the wiring harness and get that all cleaned up and repaired and ready to go back on as well, but kind of wanted to get this done and see how it's going to look. Pretty stoked about it, so stay tuned. All right, well, it's time to start figuring out how some of these things work here before I get them in the car and have to figure it out there. So I have set up some of my things that I'm going to be installing. Obviously the investment cast turbo manifold, the Innovate temperature probes, I have the ECU, and I have my software. So I'm going to set it up on the bench and see what exactly is required to do this. I haven't even really looked into this yet, so we shall see what we need to do. So first up, we have our temp probes. We got 2 temperature probes, 4-foot patch cable. It's like a serial programming cable, yeah. I'm assuming for firmware on these guys. And a manual. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this and see what they want me to do as far as wiring goes. It looks pretty straightforward. Looks like we have just 2 pins. So I'm assuming... Okay. I was assuming there would be a plug for that, but here it is. So this should be pretty simple. I did see in one of Andy's videos on YouTube that there's a way to plug in the O2 sensor into this as well. Maybe not necessarily directly to this, but at least through the serial communication off of a gauge or something. And so I may be doing that. The future may hold some drive-by-wire throttle stuff for me. It just depends on if I keep this ECU or not. For now I'm going to, but I may end up going to a Haltech or a Link or a Motec or something. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. For this motor, for this build, I already have this. This is what's going to happen. So we'll kind of go over this instruction manual a little bit, and then I'll come back here in a bit. Alright, so here's what I've come up with. I went ahead and followed the ECU pinout for the Adaptronic EMOD 009, and it says 3I and 3G are my power to the ECU. So I've kind of got those pins figured out. They're right there. And so I'm going to make a crude cable that just, these little connectors for my little connector kit here. They just happen to fit these pins perfectly. And so I'm going to shield both of these and stick them in there, attach them to the battery, just, you know, kind of crudely, probably through this little fuse panel thingy I got, so, or through this fuse rather. And so it hopefully won't do anything too devastating. But anyways, I'm going to hook that up and see if I can get power, and then I have to run another one to this unit as well. And for the moment of truth, so I have the pins down here, 3I and 3G. 3I for 12 volt power, 3G for ground. I have my battery. I have the red terminal. I have a fused 25 amp, a little high, cable going here. I have the ECU, and we shall plug it in and see what happens. Hey! I don't see any smoke, so that's probably a good thing. Cool. Alright, so it seems to be working. So I can run this on the bench, and I will go ahead and, this has got very clearly labeled terminals, so I'll just splice in a couple more wires on my bench power supply here, and go ahead and start wiring some stuff up and see if I can get the software to cooperate with the pyro sensors here. So, oh, those are cool stickers. So should be pretty simple. I still have yet to crack open the manual, but we're going to get to that. All right, now obviously this is just for testing purposes. This is pretty cheap wire. I think it's the largest jacket PVC you can get. It's a pretty decent gauge. Should be plenty of conductor in there to carry the current, but not really worried about that part of it so much as you know, not crossing any wires and stuff. And all this will be hidden underneath the dash and everything anyways. So I have power to both units. I can go ahead and start plugging in the sensors to the rest of this harness here and get those on. Luckily, my older PC up here does happen to have a serial port. So that's pretty sweet, because otherwise, if I need to program this thing, and since they give a serial cable to do that, I have no other means to do so unless I do that. So. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get these pyro sensors, thermistors, thermometers, temperature reader probes put in there, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we got these temperature probe deals. I'm going to go ahead and wire them up. The instructions say they want the yellow lead to the plus and the red lead to the negative. So red to negative. So you know what? I'm going to make sure on my manifold that these go in there. This would be a huge waste of time if they don't end up fitting. So here's, I don't know how this works. Holy smokes. Okay. No idea how that works. I'm assuming this is some sort of compression fitting here. It is. Okay, so they want you to smush it down. Ah, okay. So, when this is tightened onto there, it will smush down. So that goes on like that, and then that will thread into there. Okay, so that's how that's gonna go. So cool. Get rid of this. Thankfully, I don't need to weld anything because my welding skills are in the negative department. All right. So they want yellow to plus. Hey-ya! And red to negative. Something like that. It's going to be fun to wire through the firewall. Looking forward to it. So let's get the other one on there as well. I'm going to put this back on here because it seems like they were protecting the tip for a reason. I don't know if you guys could see that, but the end on there. Oh, another one of these. Don't need that. This on the manifold. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to leave that curled up for now because it's going to be a little bit before I get to these anyways. So the next one, yellow to plus, red to negative. Okay, so check my wiring here. And according to this, yeah, I should have left that zip tied. No real good reason to undo that. I'm going to put another zip tie on there. I don't know why I took that off. I don't know what I thought I was going to gain. Okay. So, now we're hooked up. So we got our power, our ground, yellow, red, yellow, red. So TC1 and TC2 are populated. All right, well, I'm going to read the book a little bit, and I'll bring you back shortly. Zero 76 and 5 volt is 2000. Okay. That's fine. These should be doing nothing, and please give this device a unique name. Rx7. Sweet. So that looks like that's working. Yeah. So I'm holding the lighter to it. Seems like it's doing something. Sweet. Should really only be going to the one port. Let's stick a torch to it. Oh yeah. She's working, buddy. Working good. Okay. 2. Okay. There it goes. Temp coming up. Nice. Okay, so the unit works, so that's cool. So now I need to go ahead and get it plugged into the ECU. So I will go ahead and do that now. Alright, so we've got this thing hooked back into the Adaptronic. I've got the serial out patch cable plugged into the in1. And I got this just sort of chilling on the bench here. And I'm going to go ahead and take care of the software side of things. So we got to open up Eugene. And we already confirmed that the EGTs work. So we're going to go to functions, serial in 1. We'll put to innovate, type none. We're not using an O2 sensor, so we'll leave that at 0. And that's basically all we need to do. So now we can go over here to our gauge page and add a new display. Oh, I don't know. Should we do some analog dials? And we'll do like a couple of medium ones. Let's do serial, EGT1, EGT2. Go ahead and click OK. And those look kind of small, actually. Yeah, let's do large. Yeah, there we go. I don't think 750 is going to be quite enough, so we'll put this to 1500. And it must be the maximum value. So there we go. So now we should test this. If I can get the phone to cooperate here. There's one. And there's 2. So, now we've confirmed that that works. On to the next part. Okay, so we're on to the next adventure here. So I have this Continental flex fuel sensor. I want to run this in the car to perhaps have multiple maps, maybe like a E85 map and then a pump gas map. So I've gone ahead and plugged in the power to it, or made a connection to the power here, and then I have made a little signal wire, and we're going to go ahead and hook this up into the Adaptronic. So it's already pre-labeled, which made this really easy. So you have your ground in the middle, your 12 volt, and you have your signal. So I'm just doing this temporarily. I have the connector sitting right there, which will probably go into one of these. And I started stripping down the harness, as you can kind of see, and I'm going to pull one of these guys and turn it into the flex fuel plug. I'm thinking this guy, probably. I don't remember what this one did off the top of my head, but I'll probably repin that one down here and make that into the new flex fuel cabling. So this seriously needs a new harness, but right now I'm just really going to concentrate on getting it to work as is, and then in the future we will worry about, you know, removing all this extra stuff that I don't even know if it does anything anymore now that we don't have a mass airflow sensor and stuff like that. But for now, you know, O2 sensor, this is what we got. So anyways, so all we need to do is plug in the battery, which is always easier said than done with one hand here. Let's see if I can get you guys on the stand. So we'll plug in the battery. which should supply the power to the ECU now. I'm injecting power to the harness here and here. So we have our ground and we have our positive connection. And then that runs back down into the actual ECU itself. So even if I unplug the USB, now it still has power. So then this is also plugged straight into the battery and through the fuse. And so we'll plug that in, which provides power to the flex fuel sensor. And then I'll go ahead and plug in the signal. This is a plastic housing, so I'm not too worried about it shorting out on anything. And then the pin that I'm going to use is CAS3. And so what we'll do is we'll go over here to the computer and open up Eugene. So looks like it's already on that. So if you come into Eugene and you want to change the ethanol input, you go to inputs and then ethanol, and then we'll choose CAS3. And right now it's not registering anything. But if I go to the CAS3 pin, which is this one right here, it should Did I do the wrong pin? Yep, I did. There we go. Now it's on the right pin. What did I plug into? You gotta be careful when you're doing this stuff. I may have screwed something up, so what was that? That was 1F. I'm glad you guys, AC relay. Okay, so no harm, no foul. We're okay. Anyways, inputs ethanol, and it immediately starts registering the temperature. So it's about 74 in here, 74 on the sensor, and then I just happen to have some alcohol here. If we want to see the alcohol content of the sensor work, there it's working. So it registers. This is 91% isopropyl, and we're getting 86% on the screen, and the temperature showing up, which is super cool. So I guess the way this works is it is a modulated signal back, and the voltage that it returns is the ethanol content, and then the pulse width of that signal is the temperature. So that's a pretty cool way to get two different measurements in one sensor, in one wire. I really, really like stuff like that. So as the alcohol's drying off, you can see it's dropping. Back to zero. Okay, so that's the flex fuel sensor. I still have to figure out exactly how I'm going to wire this in before I crimp down any connectors to it and everything. But I just wanted to get it working on the bench here so that I could make sure that it was going to work, and kind of figure out what I'm going to do with my pinout on my wiring harness. And then from there, we'll go ahead and do the turbo speed sensor in pretty much the same fashion as we've been doing. This one will go on the VSS. I'm not entirely certain of how that function works out. I feel like it's possible that it may interfere with my cruise control, but I do have the cruise control computer in there because I do want to have all the creature comforts that the car has, like I'm going to do AC and everything. So hopefully this doesn't cause any issues. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if I can't run that thing on this particular ECU, then I'll just get it wired in, and then if I feel like I'm not going to use cruise control, I'll turn it on, and if I'm going to use cruise control, then I'll swap it back. Anyways, that's about all there is for this video. So thanks, guys. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited right now. I have been waiting almost, let's see, about a year and a half to put this turbo in here. So this moment is a milestone, to say the least. It's pretty exciting. It is a long time coming. I haven't even mocked it up yet. Look at that. Looks like the EGT probe shouldn't have too much trouble getting out of there. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it solid mounted at this point. I'm just going to kind of get it on here. I want to get some lock washers for these as well. I don't like the idea that these are just held on with some flat washers. Not for this part. Prefer, oh, you know what? Let's put a gasket on there too. Don't you guys say anything? You guys are always just quiet. Because I don't know that I'll actually be coming back to this part, so might as well get the gasket on there. Grab that. This gasket happens to have one of the EGR deals on it. I'm not sure if that's going to be like really a problem or not. I don't think so. And I don't know if these gaskets are any good. They look fancy, but I really don't know. I don't even know which way would be better to put it. What do you think? That. I don't think these flanges out would be a good idea. We're gonna go this way. So this motor is pretty well street ported, and in hindsight, I probably should have. See, you can't even tell that I didn't paint that. It's gonna be all covered up. I probably should have ported the exhaust as well. It's kind of like throwing away power, but it is what it is, and not much I can do about it now. This motor will not be having any sort of exhaust port. It's just the stock exhaust port. If I recall correctly, because this was over 10 years ago now that I built this motor, the housings were in pretty decent shape. The specs that I got on, there was some pretty close tolerances to being out of tolerance, and I went ahead and did it anyways. So I don't expect this motor to last forever by any means, but it should do okay. It shouldn't blow up immediately. Should get at least 10 miles out of it. Full boost. So to tighten those or not to tighten those? Is that a 14? We'll just kind of snug them down. I won't really concentrate too hard on this part as of yet. This is probably going to go on and off of here a couple of times. I have to clock the turbo still, so figure out which direction it's going to point to. So we shall see what it does. There, that's tight enough, I think. Okay, so actually, you know what? I need to figure out a stud situation. I'm going to probably have to rob it off my old part there. So I'll bring you guys back when I got some studs ready. Okay, I was going through the process of removing nuts and bolts from that thing to pull it apart, and I was like, you know what, let me just check. And luckily, the kit came with the studs. So that is awesome. I'm really glad to see that. Really would have been kind of lame if it did not. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Like they looked like they were different pitch thread, but sometimes you can't tell. And it actually came with some pretty fancy looking zinc plated nuts, so those will look a lot better than the ones I had. So there's that. I feel like it'd be a good idea to give these a little touch up with the wrench, but I'm going to wait a minute. So I'm going to, what, they give me 5? They give me 4 of these locking washers and 5 nuts. Does this seem weird to you? Huh. They also gave me a gasket, but again, I kind of like the one I have. But maybe perhaps that's for the twin scroll deal, and if I use this one would have a ton of exhaust leaking through the middle. So we're going to use the one they gave us. Come on. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now for the moment of truth. Holy cow, I can't believe this is happening. Oh. And this will definitely have to come back off because it doesn't even have the wastegate actuator on here yet. So, just get an idea of what it's going to look like. Oh, I'm so excited. And it's clocked in a weird direction anyways. This is so cool. Yeah, and just like all turbos, they make it so you can only get to 2 or 3 of the bolts. So we'll get the backside one first. You know what? We're only going to do 3 right now. I'm not going to go through the trouble to getting that on there when I need to pull this back off to install the other stuff. I will use the cool fancy washers though. Okay. There it goes. Does it look cool? I bet it looks cool. Yeah, you couldn't even get close to getting that back one. And that's a 17. So we'll just kind of, oh no, it's not. Is it a 14? No, it's like some other size. It's probably standard, huh? 15 it is. And we're not going to tighten this too tight. We're just going to snug it up a little bit. I think. I think this is a indicator of things to come. How difficult it is to get to the bolts. Yep. We have to clock the oil and coolant lines as well because right now they're pointing off up in this direction and they're going to need to be straight up and down. So. Alright. Final reveal. Oh, that is cool. That goes right there. Now it's a turbo supercharger. That is absolutely cool looking. Heck yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be a tight fit for that upper manifold too. But man, what do you think of that? Yep, I'm happy. Twin scroll BorgWarner 7670. twin wastegate. Bop, bop. Bop, 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 bop. That is absolutely amazing. So, on that note, I think we're gonna, for reals, end the video here. And yeah, we'll catch you guys up soon.